hand it over to Marijn. All right, all yours. Thank you.
All right, thank you so very much for you all for being here. Thank you for the opportunity. And let me share my screen. Let me see where I have that. And then this one. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, looks good.
Yes. And you can, oops, let me see. You can also see my mobile.
Not yet.
So this is my slide deck, and this should be my mobile app, my mobile phone.
I'm just seeing your slide deck, which says "Become a Road Warrior with Microsoft Teams app."
Okay. Let me try to share my screen again, and let's see if we. Oh yeah, sure. My mistake. Sorry.
Yeah,
so,
looks good. Looks good.
This is my mobile, and this is my slides. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Cool.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being here. Thank you for sacrificing an hour of your evening time to be here at this meetup. I want to talk to you about the mobile app for Microsoft Teams, because I really love the app, and I'm a lot on the road, and it allows me to become a road warrior. Now, of course, with the whole COVID-19 crisis, maybe, well, definitely in Europe, I don't know how it is there, but definitely in Europe, we need to stay at home, we need to work from home, so maybe we're not on the road that much anymore, so maybe a road warrior is not the correct name, so let's call it let's become work from home warriors instead of road warriors. Yeah? So a little bit about me. My name is Marijn Somers. Marijn, it's a difficult name to pronounce if you're not from Belgium or Netherlands. So don't worry if you ever need to call me or talk to me and you can't pronounce it. I don't really care. You can call me Martin, you can call me Margin, you can call me hey you. It doesn't matter. So don't worry about it. So who am I? I've been doing mostly SharePoint for over 14 years now. Last few years, I'm heavily involved in Teams. I've been an Office Apps and Services MVP for 2 years now. So, woohoo, awesome. What do I do? I've got my own company where I am a productivity coach. So I've got small customers with 60 people. I've got big multinational pharma as customers as well. And I help people just to do their work in a better, easier, quicker fashion. So that's my job with Office 365. And of course, Teams is a very big part of that these days. Now, what else do I do? I've got a podcast together with my friend and business partner, Steve Dalby. It's called Office 365 Distilled, where we talk about technology first, and then we end with a whiskey tasting. Some people say that we should do the whiskey tasting first and then talk about technology. We tried that once, not a good idea. So let's not do that anymore. But it's so much fun to do that. It's a new episode comes out every 2 weeks. We talk about security, about governance, about user adoption, just in a very fun, relaxed way. So it's just like the two of us just sitting at a bar and just talking to each other. I'm having a lot of fun with these. Take a listen. You can find these on iTunes, on Spotify, everywhere. You can find these anywhere. So take a listen. Let me know what you think about it. I hope you like it as well. And then also together, and you see the picture here on the top right, together with my friend Jussi Mori, I also do a YouTube series where we have little videos where we invite guests, where we try to blame the end user for all the things that are going wrong in an Office 365 adoption plan. So we mostly talk about adoption, a little bit about governance, a little bit about specific technology as well. So we always try to blame the user. In the end, it doesn't work, so we always have to blame ourselves. But that's a lot of fun as well. And we always have really cool guests to talk about their own experience as well. So take a look at that as well. You can find it on YouTube called Blame the End User. Good. Now, without further ado, let's talk about Microsoft Teams and the Microsoft Teams mobile app. I want to keep this very, very practical. So that's why I also just have my mobile phone here. So I'll be switching a lot from one screen to the other because I just want to show you a lot of things. I don't want to do a lot of slides. I just want to show a lot of things. So I've got 5 demos. First, we're gonna set the stage, take a look at what the app is and some of the big differences between the mobile app and the client app for your Windows or Mac device. We're gonna talk a little bit about the chat functionality, so how you can keep in touch with other people while you're working from home. We're gonna dig a little bit deeper in a role of a project manager, for example, or a project member, on how you can work with your Teams part itself, how you can do conversations, how you can work with files, the tabs, your whole structure, how you can do that. And then the last 2 demos, they will be slides. The first one will be all about the meeting experience. I don't know if you've ever had a meeting on your mobile in Teams yet, but it works pretty good. There are some quirks. We'll talk about it then. And the last one will be about shifts. So shifts is an important part as well. We'll talk a little bit about what's coming next for Teams Mobile. And there's a bonus as well on the end where I will talk a little bit about something that you might haven't seen or heard about yet. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Something that I'm very excited about, and that will come later on as well. Yeah. All right, let's go. So first slide, your Teams mobile app is just like your Teams client app, which is your hub for teamwork. Your mobile app is the same thing. So it allows you to communicate to other people. It allows you to chat with other people, to do those group chats. It allows you to work together with other people, to do your open up documents, change things up, all these things that you can do. It allows you to, for example, customize and extend with first party, with third party applications that other companies are building. So you can just put them on your Teams environment so that you can do more with that as well. And of course, you can do it in the confidence that everything works as secure and compliant as you can do on your own laptop or PC or Mac device. So it's not because it's on your mobile that it is less secure. So you can absolutely do the same kind of work and just be confident that you have the same possibilities and the same security structure that you have on your other devices. Yeah. Cool. So first, let's set the stage a little bit. And I've written down a few of the things that I want to talk about so that I don't miss anything. So let's jump into my phone. So my phone has Teams installed. And one of the things that Mark Vail taught me was that, so I'm using this on an Android device, by the way. So this is not an iPhone. The functionality is more or less the same, although there might be some differences. So I've got my Teams app here, and what I can do, at least on an Android, I have no idea if that's possible on an iPhone. So if any of you listening and watching have an iPhone, please try to do this as well and let us know in the chat if this works on an iPhone or not. But if I long press on the Teams app, I can actually have my chat and calendar and search and a new chat button. I have these, and I can actually drag them out, so I can have my so I can have these buttons here as a quick button instead of having to open up my Teams and then go to chat. In this case, I can just go to the chat button and it will open Teams with that chat immediately. So I think that is that's definitely super cool. So if you have an iPhone, please try it out. Let me know if that works for an iPhone or not, because I'm very curious if that will work or not. But I don't have one, but it works on Android. I love that. I just love that. So what do we see when we open up this Teams mobile app? So on the bottom, we've got a row of icons, and I call that the application drawer. I don't really know if that is the official name for it, but I like to call it an application drawer because if I click on more, it actually opens up the drawer, and I've got more buttons that I can choose from. Now, by default, I've got these buttons: activity, chat, Teams, calendar, calls. But for example, if I don't use the calling functionality, I can also replace that with something else. So if I click on that more button, I've got this reorder functionality where I can actually say, I'm not using that calls functionality, but maybe, excuse me, maybe I'm using a lot of my files. So maybe I just want to drag my files up here, and then calls just falls off. And if I save that, I will now have that file button icon on the top, on the bottom of my screen. So you can just reorder that any way you want. And the fun thing is, because I don't know what kind of profiles that you people are, but I'm a consultant, so I work for a lot of customers. Yeah. So if I open up this, so the big main menu that you get is when you click next to the chat button on the left, on the top left. You will see all your other accounts and organizations. So I've got a lot of customers, a lot of organizations in here. But the fun thing is this bottom drawer, the application drawer, that is actually different by which org that you logged onto. So right now I'm in my own tenant, and I've got these buttons. But if I log into another tenant, let's see if I want to have, for example, this one, I'm logged in another tenant, and here I've got that calls button. So depending on which tenant you're logged into, you can actually have different application drawer on the bottom. Yeah. So that is your main navigation part. That is where you can just jump from one side to another. So in Teams, in the client tab, you've got that left rail. This is a bottom rail, or as I like to call it, an application drawer. So let's go back to my my own account, and you immediately see when I do this that changing accounts, changing tenants is just like that. It takes not even a second to switch from one tenant to another. And I have that with all the tenants where I'm a guest user, but I also have that with accounts where I just use a total different account. So for example, if I just go back here, so you will see all the ones with mandriesesvijfcoach.be. That is where all the accounts where I'm a user or a guest user. But you will also see here on the bottom the one that I just went to. I've got a Gmail where I'm a member for some things. I've got an EIA.nl account as well where I'm in for some customers. So I can just switch tenants even if I'm a guest tenant or with a different account, just like that in less than a second. And that is one of the things that I just love about the Teams mobile app. I can just switch like that, less than a second. I just love it. So what else do I really love about this mobile application? So if I just go back here, that left top little icon next to chat, you can actually see it's got a little bell and it's got a Z on there. So that means I'm currently in quiet hours. So what is quiet hours? Let's jump into my notifications for that. And there's a setting called quiet hours. So this is on my phone. I've got my phone with me 24/7. Yeah. But I don't always want to be interrupted for work related things. So I've got a few customers that are multinationals that have people all around the world, and I don't always want to be woken up in the middle of the night if somebody in the US or China has a question for me. I don't want them to wake me up. So I can actually set some quiet hours where I do not want to be disturbed. Yeah. So I can set up hours. So for me, it's 7 o'clock in the evening, and I love this clock. I love this functionality. So it allows me to change this into on a very fun way to do that. And I've got a start and an end. So it starts at almost 7 in the evening, and it ends at 7 in the morning. And in that time period, I do not want to be disturbed with my Teams app. I also have quiet days, so I can just say, look, Saturday and Sunday, those are my quiet days. Maybe you're not working on a Friday, maybe you're not working on a Monday, on a Wednesday, you're working part-time, for example. You can just say, okay, these are the days that I do not want to be disturbed by Teams at all. And you can just set these, and that will just work like a charm. So I love that quiet hour functionality. Yeah. Also, I can check, for example, when do I want to receive notifications. So, for example, if I'm also working on my desktop environment, do I also want to get notifications on my mobile device? Because maybe if I'm working on my desktop, maybe I don't want to have these duplicated on my mobile device as well. So you can choose that if you want. So also with meetings, how do I want to be notified if a meeting starts, if a meeting chat functionality? Do I want to have that on mute, or do I want to keep getting those messages there? Yeah. So that notification part, super important, super useful. I don't have more than one phone, so I just have my one phone, and that is with me 24/7. So that is super important for me to make sure that I only get notifications in my work hours. Yeah. Of course, you all know your, so the top of the list is your presenting functionality. So well, presenting your status indicator. So you all know how that works, of course. You've got your status message as well. We've got your notifications, and then we can dive into settings. There's a dark theme as well. Normally I'm using the dark theme on my phone as well, but I switched it off for demo purposes. The dark theme, a little lighter on your eyes, less strain on your eyes, a little less battery that is being consumed as well, because it doesn't have to light up your phone. So if you have a phone that is that runs out of battery very quickly, you might want to turn on dark theme for all your applications. Yeah. So of course we see our notifications here, and also an important one I think is the data and storage, because here you can actually say, if you got a phone that doesn't have a lot of memory, you can actually clear your app data, clear your temporary files, clear your history if you want, so that your phone app is light and doesn't take too much space. But what I also really love is that you can define the quality of the images that you upload. And why is that important? If you're working in a factory, for example, a giant factory, and you have to walk around on the factory and you have to take pictures from, for example, non-conformity items. Maybe on the factory floor, there's not a good Wi-Fi signal, for example. Maybe you have to drive around into the countryside to take pictures of some kind of equipment, and there's not a really good data signal. So you can actually choose here how big you want to have your images as quality. So do you want to have these high resolution pictures? Do you want to have low resolution pictures? So if you have to drive around, if you know that you will be in places where you don't have a lot of bandwidth, please change that into like lower resolution, which is still awesome, which is the picture quality is still very good. It's just not that 4K, for example, picture quality that you could get if you really wanted. Yeah. So that's important as well. So that's kind of my settings. Those are the things that we can do right here. So let me jump back to my slides, see if I missed anything. So we've got our icons or application drawer. We've got our dark theme, and then we've got our quiet hours data. We see all other settings as well. We didn't jump into messaging and shifts, but that kind of is self-explanatory. Around the quiet hours, I just demoed that. I just love that because I've got my phone with me all the time. I don't want to be disturbed. There are a few gotchas, and Tony Redmond actually created a really nice blog post around it, and I just grabbed that information, put it here on a slide. So important, it's based on your device time. So if you change the time on your device, if you have daylight savings time, for example, if you change that, the clock will change with you. So 7 will still be 7, for example. Also important, it is set per device. So if you got a phone, and if you got a tablet, and if you got a second phone, you have to set it for every device itself. It's not that you set it once and it will replicate over all your devices. No, you have to do it for every device. It's also not working when you're actively using the app. So if you're using the Teams mobile app, you will get notifications through, because then the system sees that you're actually working on it. So it doesn't have to hide the notifications to not disturb you because you're already on the app. Also important, it's only for Teams. So it doesn't work for your Kaizala, doesn't work for your WhatsApp, doesn't work for whatever other apps that you use. Those will still send you notifications when you don't want it. So this is just for the Teams app. Also, incoming calls will still get through. So if you've got a calling plan, if you've got that calling enabled, these calls will still get through. Also, urgent notifications will also still notify you. So the urgent notification is when you send a chat message or send a conversation when you say it's urgent. So in the next 20 minutes, every 2 minutes time, it will send you a notification. Yeah. So those urgent notifications, those will still get through. Yeah? So those are some important gotchas that you got the quiet hours, but there are still a few things that it will still let through. Yeah. Okay, cool. Second demo, chat, all about chat. And there are some really cool things that you can do in the chat environment. So I'm in my chat environment here right now, and I've got all my chats underneath each other. One of the cool things is that you can immediately see which one you didn't read yet, because it's in bold. But what you can also do is you can also just so let's start with activity first, maybe. So here in activity, you see that as well, and you can actually swipe left and swipe right to mark it as read or to mark it as not read. So if you just want to go through your activity feed and see what you still need to check on later on, maybe when you're using the client app, you can use that if you want. Yeah? So then on the chat itself, so I've got a number of chats here. I'm just looking for something. Do I have one? No. Okay. I can just start creating a new chat. I'll chat with Lloyd, and you see I already have a lot of things that I chatted about with him. Here's some functionality that I've got. So one of the things what you can do, and you also have that functionality with WhatsApp, for example, and I just love that functionality, is that on a chat message, you can actually swipe to the right to quote that message. So he says, yo, dude, do you see that message from the CEO? I can just swipe to the right, and then I type a new message, and that uses that previous question. So it actually replies to that question. It makes it more visible for that. So I can say, yes, I did. So it actually looks like this. Yeah. So that is much more visible that you can do. Yeah. So I've got my chat, I've got my files that I shared with this person, or even more tabs that we have open if we want to. Yeah. So what else can I do? I can send this person pictures. So I've got this picture of a little cat that I can send this person. I have my GIFs that I can use. I have my attachments that I can use as well. I can have my large text set up with some text markup that I can do, and there are a number of other things that I can do. For example, priority messages; those are those urgent things. But I can also use, for example, the praise functionality. I just love that praise functionality as well, because that just allows you in a very easy, simple way to say to somebody that they did a really nice job. So for example, he's an achiever. So let's say, yeah. And I'll send that to Lloyd because he really did a good job. So I can do something like that. Yeah. Also, one of the things that you can do with the mobile app that you can't do on the client app is to actually send people voice messages. So I can just click here and, hey, Lloyd, how are you doing? It's such a long time since I've seen you. What's up? Okay, so I can just send that. And now I've got a voice message that I sent to that person. I can play that back as well. There we go. So I just send him a voice message instead of actually typing it in. So that makes it easier for me as well. Yeah. So those are a number of functionalities that you get with the chat. If I long press on a chat, I can mark it as unread, or I can even mute the chat or hide the chat. So for example, if Marcel Alberts, I don't want to hear about him anymore. I don't want to get notifications about this, so I can just mute him. And then you can also see on the right hand side, you got that little bell with a stripe through, so that I don't get any notifications from that. Yeah, that's definitely a lifesaver as well. If you're having lots of chats, if you're in a very busy call, and if you're in a very busy meeting on your phone, it's definitely a lifesaver to like not get a lot of these notifications anymore. Okay, cool. So definitely swipe right to quote, long hold to mute. Those are awesome functionalities. What I also like to do sometimes is if I don't want to type in the whole text, I can use my speech to text on my device to just say what I want to type, and then it types up everything. That works as well. If I have that in English, in my mother tongue is Dutch and doesn't work in Dutch at all. But if I have English speaking customers, it works pretty well. So that's cool. So let's talk a little bit about the limitations of the mobile app. So the mobile app, I just love it, but there are a number of things that you can't do, but there are good reasons why you can't do that. So for example, if you're talking about files, there's no support for metadata. There's no support for conditional formatting. So on the right-hand side, you see what it looks like in Teams Mobile. On the bottom, this is how it looks like in your Teams, your files environment. So if I have extra metadata fields, extra conditional formatting rules applied, they just don't show up on Teams, which kind of makes sense because you don't have the screen real estate for that. But yeah, I really hope that in the near future something like that will appear so that I can actually mark certain documents as being, for example, final, like in the case of the screenshot that you see here, so that I can, even when I'm working on my mobile device, that I can see how that looks like. There are no, if you're talking about conversations, there's not a way to create an announcement post, which kind of makes sense because if you're creating a big announcement, you probably don't want to do that on your phone. You probably want to do that in your desktop environment. You can't choose all the reply options, which again kind of makes sense because your team management, you probably want to do that in your desktop environment as well. You can't post into multiple channels. You don't have a background blur. There's no Meet Now functionality. You do have GIFs. You don't have stickers. You can't edit a wiki. And there's not really something like hidden themes like you get in your Teams client app, where you can say these are your themes, these are your hidden themes. I'll show you in 2 seconds how that will look in your client, but that's not really this grouping functionality. You don't really have that in your themes. Okay, so those are a number of limitations, things that you can't do on your Teams mobile device. But then again, there are a number of extra capabilities that you don't have on your desktop environment. For example, the easy account switching. So my first demo was switching around from one account to the other, from one tenant to the other within a second. You don't have that on your Teams client desktop app. Voice messages that I can send, you don't have that. The quiet hours, it's not that good on your desktop environment than it is on your mobile environment. Also, definitely, there's a better reply versus new button. So on the Teams desktop client, people are always, when they're new to Teams and they want to reply to a certain conversation, they always hit that new button and start a new conversation instead of hitting that reply button. That happens so much. And funny question, when I just became an MVP, I was invited into the MVP Teams tenant, and I just wanted to say something or reply to somebody. And yes, me too, I just hit the new button and started a new conversation instead of reply something. So my head was just red and I was feeling so ashamed. So everyone makes that mistake. I'm sure that you made that mistake as well at some point. Just on the client app, it doesn't work very well on the desktop. There's not really a good new button there. If you go to your Teams mobile app, you definitely see that new button and that reply button. It's just much better. It just looks very, very different, so that you can actually, you don't have that mistake anymore. What else can you do on the mobile app that you can't do on your client app? The swipe right to quote, and also something that I really like is the easy answers for notifications. So easy answers, that is when I get a notification, for example, that somebody is talking to me, somebody wants to chat with me, for example, I get that little toast notification. And what I get is what you can see here on the moving image here, is that I can actually choose between a number of predefined answers. So I don't have to type it in. I can just choose an answer that I want to send, and it sends that answer. So that's definitely cool. And the last thing that I definitely love about Teams mobile app is it is on your mobile. So it is with you wherever you are all the time. Yeah, I just love that functionality. So let's jump into collaboration. Let's jump into some practical work here. Let's jump into Teams itself. So we talked about your activity, we talked about chat, but let's dive into Teams. Yeah. So just like on your client app on the desktop, on top you've got your pinned channels, and underneath that you have your teams. So let me just make them all smaller. So I've got my themes. And in your client tab on the desktop, you also have your hidden themes underneath that. You don't have that here. What you do have is you have this button called See All Themes. And if I click on that one, I can actually see all the themes, and I can actually mark which one I want to show. So for example, I don't want to show the editorial calendar, but I do want to show finance, for example. Yeah. So when I jump back in here, I've got my finance in here in my themes, and I don't have the other one anymore. So that is how you can actually manage your themes. So with your themes and your hidden themes, so you can actually manage it like this. Yeah. If you want to, for example, pin a channel, super easy. You just go to the channel, do a long push on the name of the channel, and then you can actually pin it and it appears up there. Same thing if you want to get rid of it, you just do a long push and you can unpin the channel. Easy like that. If you want to create a new theme, it's possible from your Themes app as well. You can just push all the way on top. On the right hand side, you got those 3 dots. You can click that one and you can actually create a new theme, and you've got the same functionality that you have when you do it on your mobile, on your client desktop as well. So you can choose your privacy, if it's public, if it's private, if it needs to be discoverable. You've got your name, your description, all these things, all the same functionality. You've got that there as well. Yeah. So let's jump into a channel. What do you have here? You've got your posts, you've got your files. I don't have any files here, and I've got my more tabs as well. And here you can definitely see what I mean with that new button and that reply button. So I've got my reply button on the bottom left, and that purple round button, that is my new post button. So here I can just create a new post. Let's say new post, boom, done. And I've got that. My reply button is different. You can see that here as well. Let's call that just reply, and that works as well. Yeah. So there are a number of really cool things that you can do with the mobile app. And one of the things is something that I want to show you because I just forget about that all the time. So what I can do, and it's, let me start again. Your Teams mobile app is still a part of Office. And one of the other mobile apps that has been around for a long time is called the Office Lens app. And the Office Lens allows you to take a picture of something and it automatically changes that picture. It turns it, it skews it so that you see it in the right way. Yeah. All that functionality is also built into the Teams mobile app. So for example, if I want to take a picture of something, so I can take a photo, and I've got this little box in here, and I can say that's a document, for example. You see with that purple line, it actually recognizes it like this, and it makes it right. Yeah. Fun little fact, I can now just take a little thing, and because I've got a smart phone, so I can actually, I have my touch screen here, and I can actually change that up, and I can draw on that picture, and that picture is something that I can send to everyone. Yeah, so I don't need to be, well, it just makes my life so much easier. Yeah. So a number of functionalities that you have, but this Office Lens built-in functionality is something that I definitely love. It's so cool. It makes my life very, very easy. So what else can I do? So as I said, like the GIF functionality. So these are all the same things that you have on your chat functionality as well. So I can click on my 3 dots, and here I can also like do the same things that I could do in the other environments as well. Yeah. So let's just jump back here. So there are a number of things that I can do. I can create new themes, manage my visibility of my themes, pin a channel. I can set my notifications on a channel as well. So if I just jump back here, you see that clock on the top right. I can click on that one to actually say, how do I want to be notified? Do I only want to get a reply for my own messages, or do I want to get replies for all the messages in this channel? I can send smileys, voice messages, the praise, and I can create and fill in forms, which is awesome as well. So the next two demos, I'm just going to do that on in slides with screenshots, because I can't show you how it looks like to set up a meeting if I'm already in another meeting. So that will just go horribly wrong. So let's take a look at how this meeting functionality works. So we can create new meetings, we can join a meeting, and we can, of course, share content. First thing that I do is actually create a new meeting. So if I go to my calendar, so I can actually show you that here as well. So let's go out of my channel. And if I go to my calendar, let's get rid of this one. So here I can see my calendar, and I can actually join or create a new meeting. So when I create a new meeting, just like in my Outlook, just like in my Teams calendar, I can add a title, participants, if I want to share it to a channel, things like that, all things that you know and love. If I want to join an event, so when an event is gonna happen, I have that join button. So I click on that join button, and it will bring me to a pre-join screen where I can choose if I want to show my video, do I show my microphone, or do I want to connect to one of these meeting room devices that Teams also has. So how does that work? If I'm in an organization or in a building that has these Teams devices, I can just walk around into the building. My meeting is about to start, and I can just connect to the nearest one that is free, that is available right now, and just have the meeting there on that device instead of on my phone. Awesome functionality. So I can just join there. If I say, okay, video is off, microphone is off, that's all good, I can join. I can actually still make that, if I click on that little arrow, I can have some options as well. And then I'm in my meeting. And then there's one thing that I really hate about that mobile meeting functionality is when I'm in my meeting, and sometimes I'm in a meeting with 100 people, 150 people, let's say, people are chatting a lot, and maybe somebody's presenting something. And if I want to see what is being presented, and if I want to see the chat, I actually have to jump around from the chat window and the window where somebody's showing what I want to see. So I have to click on that button, and then I go into the chat, but then I don't see what people are presenting anymore. So then I have to tap on that thing to return back to my meeting. So I have to choose all the time to see what people are presenting or to check the chat that people are doing around that meeting. So I always have to jump between one and the other. There's no way how you can show those two on the phone next to each other. That is one thing that I just really hate about the Teams mobile app, that I have to do that. Yeah. Now, if I want to present, for example, like in this case, I would like to present something, I could just do that from my phone as well. So, for example, if I'm on the road and I have a meeting and I need to present a PowerPoint, I can just do that from my phone, because I can, when I click on those three dots on the bottom, I can just say I want to do something. So, for example, start the recording, but I can also share. And what do I want to share? Do I want to share a photo, a video, for example, a PowerPoint, or my screen? I can share a PowerPoint. And if I want to share this PowerPoint, I can choose which one that I want. So this has the files capability that you have in your Teams client, desktop client as well. So I can just choose which one I want to show, and then it's there. And I can just swipe left and swipe right or use the little arrows to go from one slide to the other. And also what I really like about that one is if I switch my phone into landscape mode, it will just give me that large view, and I can actually read what I want to do or what I want to say. So presenting from a phone is just awesome. It's just a very nice functionality to do. Definitely try it out. It works very well if you only have to show this presentation, for example. If it's just a sales presentation, for example, it's brilliant. If you have to switch between different applications, it doesn't work that well. But if you just have one app that you want to do, awesome, brilliant. Yes. All right, last demo, shifts. So this is all about working 9 to 5. Shifts is, if you don't know what shifts is, it's a way to clock in and clock out and register your hours. So a shift is always linked to a team, and your team owner is a manager. And the manager will say, for example, okay, I've got 4 people with an early shift, 4 people in a late shift, and he will put the people in his team on a shift. And what you can do is you can clock in and clock out if you're starting your shift, if you end your shift. You can request holidays, request leave, or you can open up a shift or take an open shift from somebody else. So you can swap shifts around. Yeah. How does that work? Shifts. So Shifts is a Microsoft application. So it's one of those first party applications, as they call it. It's something that you can set up if you want as well. So Shifts on your mobile looks like this. First thing that you can do is you can click there where you can see these are the shifts that are coming up, and you can actually see who else is with you on a shift. So in this case, Lloyd is with me on a shift, and I can actually open up a chat there with everyone that is on the same shift. For example, if we want to talk about where we are going for lunch, for example, or who is bringing some kind of piece of equipment or something, I can just open up that chat with everyone in my shift, which is super useful. I can also do some requests. So when I click on the request part, I can create a new request on the plus button, and I can, for example, offer somebody else my shift because maybe I don't want to work that day, or I can request some time off. If I want to request time off, super easy. I can select what type of time off that I want. Do I want to have parental leave? Do I want to have holidays? Do I want to have whatever? I can add a reason, a start date, an end date. So these are my types of time off that I can say. So for example, maybe I'm sick, I just want to have a sick day. And then when that's done, my manager has to approve this. So he can just, this is my manager's view. I can approve that. And then what I see is that it is approved by my manager. So my time off is approved and I'm not available for that shift. Yep. So that's how you can see that as well. So this is like big timesheet application. So if you want to start your shift, you have to clock in. So you open up your shift on your mobile app. You're off the clock. And if you press that start button, your shift is running and you're on the clock. At some point, you need to take a break or lunch break, something. You click on the break button. You're on break. At some point, you want to stop your break and go back to work. And when your shift is over, you want to stop your shift and you're off the clock and your shift is done. At that point, the app is also requesting you to confirm your timesheet. So if you're, because that's the timesheet that will be logged into the system. So do you want to confirm that? Maybe you want to change that as well. So you can edit that. And if you confirm it, then you can't edit it anymore. And then it's logged and it's final and it's done. Yeah. One of the things that is super useful for that functionality is the SMS sign-in functionality. if you have a device that is shared with multiple people, you can use that to do your signing work. So those were my demos. Now a little extra. So what is next for Teams Mobile? What is coming? One of the things that I'm looking forward to, or that I really want to use for a number of my customers, is a Walkie Talkie function. Walkie Talkie, when you have multiple people walking around on the shop floor, somebody says something and everyone hears it. Yeah, so that's the Walkie Talkie functionality. This is also linked to a shift. So for example, if you're not working today, that you don't get all these messages. So this is linked to a shift. Only the people from that shift will get that message. One of the things that I really like is that there's also hardware coming out. So there's hardware, there's this little earpiece with a button so that you can actually click on the button if you want to say something that is locked by the Teams application, and that will spread that word to all the other people on that shift. So really cool functionality. I have a number of customers that are super interested in that because they really want to start using this. Together with that, we've got some head-mounted devices. So for people that are really walking around on building sites, construction sites, for example, they can set up something like this where they have a camera. If they need to have a meeting, if they want to show something to other people in a Meet Now session, they have all these things that they can do, microphone, camera, all built in on a head-mounted device. Also, definitely something I'm looking forward to is background blur. So this is the one for iOS. I have no idea when it's coming for Android, but this is definitely the one for iOS. And as you can see, it just works the same way as it works for your desktop app. I don't know any timing around the backgrounds that you can select for yourself. I've got no idea when that is coming, but we'll see. Anyway, background blur could be useful because when you're walking around with your phone and you have your camera on, you don't want people to maybe notice all the things that are going around behind you. So maybe you just want to show everything that's going on right there and only focus on your face and not on everything behind you. Audio quality and video quality is just being upgraded by a long shot. So there's a new codec that's being used. It's called the Satin codec that has a number of improvements that can do. So it has a number of things that it can. It actually uses some AI functionality to upgrade your audio. So if it detects that there are some packets missing, it will actually use an AI functionality to try to come up with what it thinks that you said. So to make that voice quality much better while reducing the bandwidth that it uses. So very cool. Targeted communication. So this is all around creating tags. So for example, I can, just like my walkie-talkie functionality, it uses a tag, say only people that are currently on my shift. I can also have that for other people. So for example, I can create a tag called help desk in my IT team. And I can just say, okay, help desk, this. And then only the people that are tagged with that help desk tag will get that message. So that's a really useful functionality that you can get for tagging a number of people or talking to a number of people without disturbing your whole team. This is not only for your mobile device, this is only for the Teams client desktop app, has the same functionality, but I really wanted to put that here as well. And then as a little bonus, I just want to show you a little bit of this. There's a new Teams functionality currently in public preview. It's called Teams Personal and Teams Family. And that just brings all that Teams functionality that you get on the workforce. It brings that into your family life. Yeah. So it will allow you to do a number of things. It will allow you to make video calls with people in your family. It will allow you to get some friends together to plan a trip, to share pictures and videos with your family, to create a grocery list and to check off all the things that you still need to have. Something to store your important files like insurance documents, Wi-Fi passwords, bank account numbers in a secure way. So there are a number of things that you can do for your family. It's got a different SKU that you can buy for that as well, but this allows you to do a number of really cool things within the family. So the slides will be shared later on. There's a number of there's some information around that on the interwebs as well. So if you're interested in this, definitely look around for that information as well. So I think it is a super cool functionality that you have. As a wrap up, Teams Mobile definitely super valuable. There are benefits for every kind of role, for every scenario. There are definitely benefits in using the Teams Mobile. Do I want to use Teams Mobile as the only app for Teams? No, definitely not, because there are definitely benefits for my desktop environment as well. But also for my mobile, I use it daily, my Teams mobile app. It's got that quiet hours. I can just share content from my phone. It's got my audio messages. It's got that Office Lens integration, super useful. I use that application drawer a lot. I can swipe left, right. But very important, please don't do meetings while you're driving, for example. I used to do that when I just started off with the Teams mobile app, but it is very, it drains your attention. So please don't do that. It's not a good idea. And with that, I like to wrap up. So this was my presentation. If you want to know more about me, feel free to add me on LinkedIn, to follow me on Twitter, or wherever you want. Listen to the podcast, take a look at our Blaming the End User videos. And with that, I'd like to give it back to the presenters, and let's open it up for questions.